start recording the meeting of the Wellfleet Housing Authority on Thursday, February 4th, 10 a.m. Our agenda, first on the agenda are the minutes of January 7th that Richard sent out to everyone. I can screen share them, I think, too. Sorry about that. Up.
Elaine, did we fix the error on the name of Jan Morrissey?
Yes.
The annual report. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. You have any additions, corrections, comments?
I have just one comment. Do we usually put the names in of people who are applying for assistance, like Jason and Elizabeth who applied for the down payment assistance? Like for rental assistance, we only use the landlord's name.
Right.
I just wasn't sure if we normally did that or if it was an oversight.
I think we have in the past.
I think we, Mia, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think we talked about this, that because it's a loan, there was some kind of feeling that it would be appropriate to put them in. I'm not taking a position on that. I'm just recalling what the conversation was.
No, that's fine. Your minutes are perfect, obviously. I probably wasn't there when we talked about that. So if everyone's cool with it, then I'm cool with it.
All right.
Richard, just one correction. It's February 4th at the bottom, not February 2nd.
Oh, right. Okay.
Thanks, Gary.
Sure. Richard, thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended, corrected, whichever is the right term?
I move to approve Richard's minutes of January 7th, 2021.
Second?
Yes, please.
Was that Sarah?
Yes, that was me. I know it's harder when you can't see me. Sorry.
Okay. So all in favor, we'll do a roll call from the people. I can see Mia.
Aye.
Richard.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
Gary.
Aye.
Elaine. Aye. Thank you, Richard. Excellent. Bills. Next item on the agenda. Gary, do you want to
Sure.
run us through them?
We have ongoing, I actually haven't, Richard, I haven't received anything with regard to any changes to the rental assistance. And I think we had didn't we previously approve the first few months of 2021, but if not.
Well, Gary,
yeah,
here's what I recall, and here's what I did.
okay.
We approved through March, so we could just move to pay the March right now and be within bounds.
Great.
Then what I said I would do, and I did do, is I met with Maggie at Homeless Prevention on Tuesday, and we went over all the recipients going forward. So we reviewed all of the rental assistance clients and the emergency housing assistance clients. So we did that, and I have a recommendation for you on that, but that's not for right now, I don't think. So we're good for March.
Okay, so based on Richard's discussion, then I would ask for a motion to pay $1,997 to rental assistance.
So
Or-
moved.
How much? Second? I'll second it.
Okay, I think do you have to, are we gonna do you want to do a roll call for all of them, or do you want to?
Okay, Mia,
Do I say I move it or do I just say
you
I?
moved it. Now say
Move
aye.
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Elaine, aye. Okay, great.
The second one is for the emergency assistance to the housing prevention. And that is in the amount of $3,187.50. We did receive a bill for January, and it is unchanged from the previous month.
Okay. Any comments or questions on that one? Is there a motion to approve $3,187.50 in emergency housing assistance?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second that.
Sarah, great. All in favor, or Mia,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Elaine, aye.
The next one is, I think this is to pay, we had previously approved the loan for the down payment assistance in the amount of $20,000. I received a letter from from Elaine with the instructions to pay the $20,000 to the attorney's escrow account at the closing, which is scheduled for February 19th. I have discussed it with the town treasurer, and we are setting up the wire transfer. So it's for $20,000 in down payment assistance.
Okay, we approved the loan at our last meeting, and so this time we would be approving paying it.
Right.
We did hear that their closing costs and down payment total $33,500. So we are assisting up to the $20,000. So is there a motion to approve down payment assistance in the amount of $20,000 to be wired to the
Attorney.
buyer's attorney?
I can move that.
Sarah,
I will second.
Mia. Okay, have a vote. Mia, all in favor?
Aye.
Richard? He's writing.
Aye.
Sorry, we can't see you writing away there, Richard. Sarah,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Elaine, aye.
The last one that I have is a request from Elaine to pay a bill of $250 to Travelers Insurance. This is the insurance on the land that Ted Malone is developing, but that we still have some liability for, from what we understand. And we pay it each year. I haven't actually seen the bill, but believe we,
Scan it and send it to you.
yeah, it's due, so we should approve it now. And if there's any changes, I'll let you know, but this would be $250 to Travelers Insurance for the Payne Hollow liability coverage.
Okay. Is there a motion? I'll move to approve. Second,
Second.
Richard. All in favor? Mia,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Elaine, aye.
I'll note also that on our agenda, there's one for CDP, but we haven't actually received the bill
Okay,
yet, so that'll have to wait until next month.
okay. And even though Richard talked to Maggie on Tuesday, on Tuesday afternoon, I did go to town hall and pound on the door and pick up the Housing Authority mail. And there was a rental assistance application in the mail. I contacted Maggie and scanned the important parts to her, and I'm going to drop the rest of it off today in Orleans. The applicant does qualify, but HPC wasn't able to decide without seeing the whole application whether it would be for regular rental assistance or if it was an emergency housing assistance situation. Once they review the whole application, if they determine it's an emergency situation, they will just go ahead and reimburse us next month. If it's a regular rental assistance situation, it's a single individual. The application indicates that they could use $500 a month for a $700 a month rent, but we have our $400 sort of guideline for individuals. If people would feel comfortable today voting that, if that's the determination from HPC, we would be able to get them assistance in March. Otherwise, if we wait till our next meeting, it wouldn't be till April. The application did come in January, right after our meeting, but I hadn't checked the mail since then, so I sort of hate to hold it up if we could.
I mean, we trust HPC to make determinations, right? That's why we've hired them. So if they review it and they think that the person should have 500, then we may as well vote to empower them to do that, right? I would say.
Wow.
And if not, then they're better equipped to make that judgment than we are, since they're really, a social group.
Right. Yeah.
Elaine, they could make the payment on the emergency, and then we could switch it to the regular if it should go, and then we wouldn't be approving something blind, as it were.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we will take it up again at our next meeting, but I'll confer with Maggie about their determination and if they want to do a month of the emergency to go ahead. Okay.
Mia, do you go into town hall?
No, because my office is in the library, but I can go into town hall. if
No,
asked.
I'm just wondering, we should make it a practice to check the mail whenever, but I'm reluctant to say that because I don't want to go in.
Well, I don't mind going in, and usually I email Jeannie Mack and she gets it and I meet her outside, but I couldn't raise anybody yesterday, and I realized I should look at it before our meeting.
Yeah,
So I just pounded on the door and they let me in and I went up and got it.
Maybe we should make a practice of doing it on the first of the month or whatever.
Or once a week, actually, because there was a lovely $300 donation there too. So
Very good. And did you deposit that already?
not yet. No. Yeah. So
And Richard, are we still doing the thank yous? I don't even know.
yeah.
I haven't done any because I haven't gotten any. Nobody,
Yeah. I sent, we had the bigger one, so I sent a regular letter with the text.
Right.
on it.
And then we had one for 1,000.
And we had two for 1,000 and that one for 25,000.
Right, 26, right.
Yeah.
So you have been
whatever I get, I send, Gary, but I haven't gotten any.
Yeah.
So you have been sending those, or we haven't responded yet?
I have responded because of the amount and the tax stuff.
Okay.
But I would let Richard know if, we need to do the card too.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Elaine, can I just say a word about housing assistance, or do you want me to wait till another time?
Well, I think now under it's part of our bill paying housing assistance. Go ahead.
Well, I will be brief. Maggie and I spent a good bit of time. We went over all of our clients, and we have a recommendation for starting in April to reduce one. And we will be looking closely at another one in the very near future who's been unresponsive to requests from HPC to review what the situation was, what is going on with them. So I will keep you posted on those and let you know what's happening. I was wondering, Elaine, if I were to send out a little summary of that to everyone, would that violate the open meeting law?
I think because we're working with a, a trusted agency and you're in communication, I don't think we all need to have that.
Okay, all right, enough said for me then. I will, when we decided basically this, given the circumstances, we will, and I'm talking about the pandemic in each of these cases, these individual circumstances, to go forward for another 4 months, and then we'll review again in detail in 3 months, and in another 4 months' time to know what to do. So Maggie and I think have established some kind of a review process now for the cases.
Great. Thank you. Good. Okay, next on the agenda is the insert for the spring tax bill. We're calling it Housing Angels. I have, I can share it with you, what the group has come up with. This would be the, 1/3 of a page insert in the spring tax bill. I think it's really good.
I think so too. It looks great.
Thank you so much, everyone who worked on it. I think Sharon is the only one on the line, but Sharon and Sharon, who else? It was Karen.
I think Karen was in on it, right?
Right, and Olga. Was there anyone else? Anyway, it was a small subset of the housing partnership who did it. So I think all I need is, rather than have multiple ones on a page, is it possible to just get the one and send it to, I'll send it to Rebecca for inclusion at the select board meeting.
I'm sure Olga can do that. Harry, we should potentially bring this to the trust also to make sure.
Oh, it does say,
Well,
right.
We did vote to approve
The concept.
doing this, so it's okay, I think, to tell the trustees that we've done it, but I don't think we need another approval from the trustees.
Okay, all right.
Right, so do you want, Lane, do you want to talk to Olga, or Sharon, are you there?
She may have dropped off.
I'm muted. I'm muted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I'm sorry. So Sharon, can you just send me, see there's multiple ones on the page? If you could just send me one with just one.
You know what? I'm going to get Olga to do that because it's on her computer now
And I
in
don't
this
know,
form.
I don't know if, and if you could send it to me as both a PDF and a Word doc, is it a Word file?
I can't remember, but I'll ask her to send you in both forms.
Okay, and then if we approve it, then I can take the next step to submit it to Rebecca for approval.
Yeah. I mean, I think the main reason there were 3 on the page was just to prove we could do it.
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt to send it to her that way. She's very savvy too, so whatever.
Yeah, I thought they printed them out 3 at a page and then cut them, although maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Well, the printing will be done by the outside company that handles the bills.
Do we want to ask Rebecca whether she would prefer to have it 1 on a page or 3?
We can. It seems like we're adding another step, but we certainly can.
I know, we could send both,
Yeah, sure.
right?
Sure.
I'll just get Olga to send it this way and one on a page, both in Word and PDF.
Okay. So send
That
it,
shouldn't be hard.
okay, so send it to me and then I will forward it to Rebecca with a copy to the tax collector that we're gonna put it on the next select board agenda. When is
Yep.
that? When is the next meeting?
I don't know.
Is it the 9th? Well, only if it's the 9th, we ought to do it today. If it's the 16th, then we have a little bit of time.
Let me, I'm looking. Huh. Not so quick.
All right, well, we'll determine that.
If you're waiting,
This will be the 2nd and the 4th, unless there's a holiday that would affect it.
So
Right?
that would be the 9th. So if we got it today, we could send it to Rebecca and see if we can get it included in the packet.
Okay.
So
I just want to mention, the phone number that's there is the housing info line we set up with the Community Development Partnership. In the past, we've been able to use the Assistant Town Administrator's number for something like this, but right now, since, that's up in the air, we're going with that. So that's why it's such an odd number. All right. Is there a motion to approve the Housing Angels tax insert for the spring tax bills?
So moved.
Elaine, I have a question. Why
Let's
would
move
we
this.
approve this?
Well, we're still a trust too.
Okay,
And we're one of the housing groups. We're all working together.
all right, no, but I mean, this is now coming from the Affordable Housing Trust, is that right?
I think
I
it's
guess-
coming
Well-
from the housing committees, but it's going to the housing trust.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so Gary,
Did I move
is
this?
there a second?
A
Second,
second. Oh,
Okay, Richard. Okay, all in favor? Let me get back to my Mia,
Aye.
Richard,
aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Elaine, aye. I think that it's a great thing and we won't be using it just for the tax insert. I think it's a really good thing to make use of in many different ways.
Thank you all who worked on it.
Yes,
Yeah,
good job.
what do you think of that idea of, at some point, putting it as, well, kind of an ad, but I don't know whether you'd call it an ad or not, but in the Independent, maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
I think that's a good idea.
I
Why
think it's a
not?
great idea.
Yeah.
Elaine, on that website, the Housing Nantucket, I noticed that at one place, they do have a blurb that they post in their island newspapers, like 3 times a year,
Mhm.
requesting donations of land and homes.
Yeah.
So,
They are a nonprofit. I don't know if there are different kind of regulations for a municipal.
right,
It's something we should probably review at the trust too.
Yeah.
before
okay.
doing anything like that. But yeah,
Karen, can you get the either a schedule when we need to do it, to submit it and the cost, or do you want?
Are you talking to me? Sorry. Yeah, I could ask how much it would cost. And
And we could take it up at the next meeting.
okay,
okay, next on the agenda is a discussion of land, town-owned and privately owned. We did get the old map of the Coles Neck property with the circles drawn on it, but I haven't gotten back to Mark, Vincent, or Hillary to ask if they see any potential potential there. And otherwise, Sarah, you sent us something this morning.
I did. I sent around just a list of everything in Wellfleet under the Wellfleet Assessors database that's zoned 130, which is developable land. And I started going through it just sort of, oh, wow, look at you. I started going through it just piece by piece, looking at sort of, uplands and lowlands and lot size. I know we had talked about, maybe having Nancy Vale just scan through it according to acreage. But there's not that many. There's about maybe I would estimate there's about 250 parcels total in this. And I've crossed out some of the ones that I either know are just being developed, just sold, that sort of thing. And I also crossed out ones that I know are in newer subdivisions where we're facing like minimum house size and more restrictions. I just thought that made sense. It might be too challenging in that case. And then I just sort of started going through them one by one, and I'll keep going. But the ones where I've highlighted the parcel number are over 30,000 square feet. So they're between 3 and 4 bedroom lots. And then the ones with the little dashes next to them are at least 4 bedroom lots, if not larger. And so, I mean, I would imagine we'll end up with maybe, I don't know, 150 parcels or so, but I would think that a letter might, I mean, my thought would be a letter might make sense to all of those, just sort of saying, do you have any interest in considering, giving or selling these cheaply for affordable housing? I don't know. That was my thought anyway.
We can, I think, Sharon, we can sort of slip in a little piece of the planning board discussion last night about ADUs, which seems to have gotten quite complicated based on interpretation of new construction in Title V. But the end of the meeting, what the planning board sort of suggested, we really have to start looking at land, because building from the start is the better way to do that than taking a property that already has a dwelling on it and adding a dwelling. So the concept of trying to look for and acquire land that came up at the planning board last night too.
Right. I think it's something we really have to consider. Sarah, thank you so much for putting that together.
Wow, this is great, Sarah.
It's not quite done, but I will keep working on it. You know what I mean? I haven't gone through every parcel like that, but I really don't mind doing it. So I'll keep chugging away and circle it again when it's done, circulate it again when it's done.
Well,
somehow I lost it to me again.
Oh, sure, no problem. Yeah.
so Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
is there some search that we can identify that Nancy Vale could do
Mm-hmm.
that would eliminate these other ones, the ones we think are unbuildable? Is this more anecdotal?
So there's 2 different classes in Wellfleet zoning bylaws, and Harry, jump in if I'm saying anything egregiously wrong, but class 132 is something that would be zoned as undevelopable land, whereas class 130, which is what we're looking at here, is what the town has designated as potentially buildable land. Now, that doesn't mean that all of these parcels are buildable, but it means there's nothing that's deemed them unbuildable to date. I am sure that Nancy could run reports for us based on acreage, if that's something we want to do. And then the rest of some of my cross-offs are sort of just anecdotal or knowledge, like Perch Pond Way. That's a not brand new, but within the past 20-year subdivision, and there's, it's got a large minimum house size and things like that. So I don't know if that's not a wise thing to do, you know what I mean? But I crossed off those, and then I crossed off some that are very, very tiny subsized lots, things like that I thought might be very challenging. So we could also just send a letter to everybody with vacant developable, to everybody on this list. It's about 250 people, and then explore each one if somebody responds as well,
Yeah, if I may, Elaine.
Of course.
Yeah, Sarah's correct. But the determination of whether land's developable or not is made by the assessors, and it's really kind of a first cut at the question. So there have been more than a few occasions where land was assumed to be developable and turned out not to be because of various reasons. And I guess the second comment is that rather than try and vet, 100 or 200 parcels, it might make sense to see who's interested in participating, and then maybe you have a small number of parcels to vet, half a dozen or a dozen, or maybe even only one or two. So you don't spend a lot of time investigating the buildability of a lot that no one has any intention of making available. So,
I'd like to just add to that. When I was looking over that Housing Nantucket, and I know it's a nonprofit and it's different, but it really speaks to a lot of the land use practices on Nantucket. And it made me think there may be some lots that are currently considered undevelopable, but if they were, there might be waivers available if they're for affordable housing.
Mhm. And Harry, you're suggesting try to determine who might be interested.
yeah,
how do you see doing that?
in other words, send a letter to, if you're going to do a solicitation, do it to everybody on the list, and then see who responds, and work with those people to vet those properties and see what the degree of interest is. Just a brief comment about Title V and how this kind of fits in with this. In my understanding, and frankly, I haven't looked at it in years now, is that the 10,000 square feet per bedroom limitation applies to properties that are unserviced by town water or are serviced by town water but are in environmentally sensitive zones. And I don't know that Wellfleet has designated any. So my third of an acre parcel on School Street, which is serviced by town water, would arguably not be subject to those density requirements. The limitation would be whether you can physically get the right size septic system on the lot. And so that 10,000 square feet per bedroom rule I do not believe applies universally unless Title V has changed since last time I looked at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it didn't cut out everything, but the planning board seemed to be saying it would only be so few. Is it worth doing? So that's kind of what I took away from what they were saying.
Actually, there was a lot more on here than I thought there would be. So I guess where I was going was, I'm agreeing with Harry, is that we might as well send a letter to everyone we define as on the list, quote unquote, and we don't know what we might turn up, and it's a relatively small cost to do that. And I was going to, how can Nancy Vale or Sarah, can you produce this as mailing labels?
I think I actually can, yes.
So my thought would be, if we can produce it as a mailing label, because I don't see the zip code on here, and that's why I was
No,
wondering.
you'd have to go to each report to pull up each address, but I think it's easy enough to do.
Okay, so if we could actually produce it on mailing labels, then we could organize some kind of a envelope stuffing, even if it's remotely done collectively, and produce a letter and send it to people.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's about 250 here and some of those are multiple owners. So even if you send it to everybody, it's less. I think something had come up where we had talked about limiting it by size to an acre or more, which would be easy to do also. But I kind of agree with Harry too. I mean, with this few letters, something might lead to something else anyway. So
So if, just for the sake of argument, if we could run the list for greater
Yeah.
than 3/4 of an acre, maybe,
mhm.
and we could get rid of the dupes.
Yes,
And then we
yes.
could produce the mailing labels, maybe there'd be 100, 150, and then we could divvy them up, everybody take 20 or something and stuff. First, obviously, we have to write the letter, but
Mhm.
stuff the letter in and mail it out for a relatively small amount of money.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep. Gary, would you like to take a whack on drafting a letter?
Sure, I'm happy to draft a letter.
I will work on labels.
I mean, a lot of these are not their home address, right? Their mailing address.
If you actually go on the assessor's database,
Mhm.
Elaine, if you're curious, if you were doing this same search, which literally all I did was put in 130, which is developable land on the search bar there. Do you see
Mhm.
where it says PDF to the right of each
Yeah.
value? So if you click on that, then you would get to each individual property's, details. But there are, I think we have access to the lists of addresses.
Maybe for the next meeting, Sarah, if you yourself or working with Nancy, come
Mhm.
up with some way to get the mailing labels, and we'll have a draft letter we'll circulate, and then maybe we can talk about, how to actually get it out.
Sounds perfect.
Okay.
Now, I guess ideally such a letter should go out from the trust. Is that right? Because the trust will be the group that can accept property,
Yeah.
purchase
Mhm.
property.
Makes sense.
We could even do it, Harry, as, we have a new organization in town, the trust, and we're looking for, et cetera.
Yep. We could do it jointly with the housing authority too.
Okay,
Sure.
that'd be great. All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yes, Sarah, thank you.
We're on our way.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, next on the agenda, I just wanted to, talk about our last trust meeting and the thought that, at some point we will be transferring the funds that we have in the old trust to the new trust.
Hello,
Harry
Chris.
just told me that the auditors are showing up Monday. And so and we'll take until March or more. So that will be when we might do that officially. And also for the next trust meeting, we're just going to give the trust a list of what we currently, the funds we have and what we use them for, the trust, all the CPA grants. And so the trust, is speaking about supporting the housing authority in their work and getting a good picture of what we've been doing and how we've been paying for it. Do you want to say anything more, Harry, about?
I don't think so. We're meeting again Monday afternoon.
Who is producing
And,
that report, Harry?
I'm sorry?
Who is producing the report that Elaine just said?
Me.
I thought Elaine was doing that. That's where,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. But it won't be accurate in terms of the amount of monies in each
No.
line, but it will be what we have and what we've been doing and what we use it for.
No, and I guess related to this is I can report, I talked to Heather Michaud yesterday, town accountant, and just to ask her how the Affordable Housing Trust accounting was progressing, and she told me that the auditors will be on premises Monday, and she expected that their work would take them into the end of March, most likely. And I encouraged her that if they can confirm affordable housing trust balances before that, that would be nice.
Thank you.
So that's where that is.
Great. Okay, town elections is next on the agenda, and we did find out that the new economic development bill that Governor Baker signed includes a lot of the housing choice elements, and that does include having a tenant appointed tenant representative on the housing authority. That's our town clerk, Jennifer,
Ed,
has,
can I give you a call back? I'm in a housing authority meeting. Okay, thanks.
Jennifer, the town clerk, has contacted town council to get some direction on this, because the language in the bill seems to indicate tenants of public housing, of which Wellfleet does not have any. Many small towns do not have public housing. But it may mean that it can be someone in any housing that's on the SHI. But it does appear that potentially one or the other of us, Sarah or I, shouldn't run again, and that we should look to have a tenant be appointed by the select board onto the housing authority, but it is not really clear. And Jennifer's looking for guidance on that. I haven't.
Elaine, is there any possibility of expanding the membership of the housing authority to address this, so that you don't have to make the Hobson's choice of who's going to walk the plank?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's part of the thing. Like, housing authorities are 5 members, and we have 1 appointed by the governor, which is Mia.
Mhm.
And then the 4 others are elected, but they want it to be changed so that only 3 are elected. And then there's the governor's appointee and the tenant appointee.
Okay.
I mean, I think, having a tenant's voice in it is a good thing. You can apply for a waiver for a year if you can't find a tenant. I meant to ask Jennifer if people that are running are going to have to get papers signed.
I had that question too, Elaine, just because I wasn't sure what to do during this time.
Yeah. I mean,
Putting aside the rest, do we have ideas of tenants who might be a good fit?
right.
Well, who qualifies as a tenant under this bill? Is it anyone who has received rental assistance from the town, or anyone who lives in a town-built development, or anyone who's gotten a house from the town?
That's what we need to get clarified. I would assume it might be for anybody that lives in one of the rental units that's on our subsidized housing inventory.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah, so that means Fred Bell Way or Gull Pond, or potentially someone who's in a Section 8 private housing landlord that's doing Section 8.
How many people is that total, roughly, do you think, between Section 8 and those 2 developments? 100 people?
No,
No.
like 20, 25.
20? That's
30.
it? And all the, okay.
So Sarah, I think both you and I should plan to run, depending on what we find out. That might change, but
When do we think we'll hear more, Elaine? I mean, I would love to keep serving and staying here. I would not love to replace you, because I can't offer that anywhere near what you bring. So it's just, when do we think that Jen will have more information?
I don't know.
Okay.
She said that if she didn't get response from town council, she was going to talk to Maria. but it really is an interpretation of this new law. And Sarah, I would love you to serve too. And, I understand I have like a lot of institutional memory, but now that I'm on the trust too, which is another, we'll be working sort of at a similar capacity and with similar interests, it would be a way, that I would still be involved too. So.
Well,
You
and
said-
I'm always here to help in whatever capacity I can, period, whether, you know what I mean? So let's, we'll figure it out, right?
Yeah, it would seem to me that between the housing authority, the trust, and the local housing partnership, we can probably find enough seats for anybody who wants to participate.
Mhm.
That's true.
Right.
Is it worth checking in with the neighboring housing authorities to see what they're gonna do? As you said, most of the towns around here don't have public housing. So should we see like, what's Eastham gonna do? No, Eastham does have public
Eastham
housing.
does. Truro, I think, is potentially the only other town on the Cape that's in the same situation. But Kristen Hatch from the Provincetown Housing Authority sent me a list of all the towns and the public housing. And, there are dozens of towns that don't have any, state public subsidized housing.
So we could see maybe what their interpretation is if our administration isn't sure what to do.
Yep.
Couldn't we have two parallel paths, Elaine? You and Sarah could run,
Mhm.
and at the same time, we could produce the list that Leah was referring to of anyone that's on SHI, which is probably a broader definition than the state had, but at least shows good faith, and we could see if we could find somebody, and if we do, we'll cross that bridge.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's, without any further information, that's a way to proceed. I don't know when they have to have names for the, our town elections will probably be later than usual too, so.
Are the people in buy downs, they're SHI also, right?
It has to be rental.
So
let's
that's
see.
another gene pool.
I think, CDP, who manages Fred Bell Way, may have some names. They could recommend Ted Malone. They manage Gull Pond. They may, there's a wonderful tenant at Gull Pond, Kathy, who spoke up at town meeting. She's just so over, I don't know that, she would be someone I would recommend. As a teacher's aide and a young working person, it's hard, when she has a job such as a teacher's aide that doesn't have a lot of flexibility, you'd have to consider moving the time of the meeting probably and stuff like that. And I don't know if she would want to serve, have that on her plate. But yeah, I think we could wait for guidance, but also inquire maybe with CDP and Ted Malone for some ideas.
And do we
I'm
have,
going to have to excuse myself, Elaine, because I've got to prepare for the 11 o'clock interview.
Right. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Get us a good one.
right.
I'm going to try.
Gary.
Yep.
thank you, Harry. Elaine?
Yeah.
If we sent an email, if we could get a list of the email addresses at Fred Bowen and Gull Pond, that probably represents a huge number of the potential. I don't know about the Section 8 recipients. We don't have any list of that, do we?
Well, we do. But when we get the SHI list, it does list the addresses where there is a Section 8.
Ah, and does it include electronic or just the physical address?
I don't know. I haven't. I'll dig it up.
Maybe we could work on some kind of a message and send it to those people and see if we get any takers.
Yeah, I don't know if that's it's a possibility.
You could call each one, but do they have phone numbers on them?
No, that's why I'm wondering, with CDP, who has interactions with the tenants might know who are the ones that they would put forward as people that might actually, I don't know, or we can just do it more generally. But yeah, it's still a lot to be clarified on that, but it's definitely going to affect this year's town election, or if we end up asking for a waiver by next year, we have to have it figured out. So we'll just proceed.
Okay, just FYI, there may be a spot on the partnership, so I'll keep you apprised of that.
Okay. All righty. The next on the agenda I put is the Chapa Municipal Engagement Initiative Light. And this came up at the Lower Cape meetings we've had with the CDP. And we've talked about this before, they're looking to have any towns on the Lower Cape that are interested participate in this process. And what it really means is finding a couple of gung-ho housing enthusiasts that are not necessarily on any of the town boards to get together to work with Chapa and work within the town to build support for housing. Andrea gave me a little blurb. The Housing Coalition, this is what would form, is a group of concerned residents and community leaders working to identify and advocate for affordable housing solutions in town. It'll form, launch in the spring to identify and work toward both short-term and long-term goals. It will be supported by the CDP and Chapa. Do you want to see more housing options and more affordable housing in town? Do you have ideas of how we can make this happen? Do you want to join an effort to build support for housing opportunities in Wellfleet? Both Brewster and Chatham have signed on to it. She thinks Orleans is interested. She knows Provincetown won't be because Michelle takes care of everything. So Andrea's looking to us to see if we want, if Wellfleet wants to participate in it. But it does really involve identifying a couple of names of people who would be willing, to kind of be the people that advance this in town. I can't think of anybody myself, but I don't know if it's an opportunity we want to pursue. I mean, I'd love to have it be a coalition of younger people, but do they have the time and the energy,
I feel like everything's sort of extra challenging just right now at this very moment with everybody so isolated, which isn't meant to be unenthusiastic. It's just hard.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it will be virtual, pretty much whatever happens. And I think that, they'll try to get a lot of publicity for the effort. The initial idea was that any town that was interested, all the towns would work together. But now it's looking more like each town and Chapa kind of want to meet together to begin with, but then go their own way because every town might have a different kind of focus that they want to use. So I'm looking for any ideas, enthusiasm, yes, no. Do we have enough happening that we don't need to do this right now?
I don't think it's not that we don't need to do it. I think, we need to do everything. But finding the available energy, those of us that are doing are probably spending more time than we anticipated already on doing. And so, yeah, figuring out whether it's a duplication of efforts that are already happening or whether it's some truly new initiative.
I mean, it would be nice if we could throw it. I mean, Andrea is trying to identify some people. She said Wellfleet and Harwich were the only two towns where she couldn't come up with a couple of names to suggest.
Well,
All
you
the
would
young
think-
people I know are frantically looking for housing, ironically.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
So there's,
Yeah.
I mean, this massive pandemic influx of wealthy older people has ruined what chance there was for younger people to have some stability. So there's, I can't think of anybody.
I know,
I
but I
wonder-
wish that we could have that energy, show up,
No.
I wonder if there's anybody who went through the Housing Institute who might be interested.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone that we don't know. I know that Andrea,
Karen, I don't think there were, in the Housing Institute, it was more of the usual suspects.
Well, for the most part, that's true.
I
I'm
know,
thinking about the people who showed up for the buy down info sessions, because there were a lot of younger people, but they're all, I don't know, I can't think of anyone who isn't pretty strapped.
I wonder if we could get someone like Lee Witherspoon.
Yeah, I know she's pretty busy, but that's a good name. I know that Andrea reached out to Mac to see if he had anybody in mind. I'm thinking of Lindsay, the one of the new Habitat homeowners. She's dynamite. She was really eloquent at all the talks and very out there. I don't know if she'd be somebody that might be interested. I mean,
Well, there's only one way to find out if people are interested.
Yeah, ask her.
But I wish-
Elaine,
yeah.
I'm kind of, suppose somebody I don't know what the purpose of this is in terms of a practical on the ground kind of thing in Wellfleet. What's some young person or any person signing up for here?
It's a group of concerned residents working to identify and advocate for affordable housing solutions. What can the town do to improve equity in housing? And what do citizens need to step up and do? I mean, the concept of working to identify and advocate for affordable housing solutions. It could be getting the town to put more money forward for purchasing land, all the things we're talking about. It's just that how many groups do we want or need working?
It might be a little bit redundant here. I mean, because Wellfleet is so small and our goals are pretty focused, I feel like we already have 3 housing organizations that are really all working to the same thing. We need space to develop affordable housing. We're so small. That's about all we're asking for.
Yeah, it's as much as Chapa is an amazing organization, and to work with some of them could be really special, but at the same time, I'm just not seeing.
After that planning board conversation last night, I almost feel like we need to have people who are advocating for town water and sewer.
I mean, if you're going to reach out to Gold Pond and Fred Bellway residents to ask about being on the housing authority, you could see if there are multiple people interested in doing that work, and they might be people who could do this. They might not all be young people, but they might have a lot of energy for it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could put out a blurb looking for interested people, but CDP doesn't want too much done about it because they're anticipating kind of like a big to-do when they finally get it together and, announcing that it's happening. And so it's trying to gauge, ideas, thoughts. We need to let Andrea know in about a week. So,
Is it something you could put out on the community Facebook page?
yeah, I suppose you could in a way. You wouldn't have to, take away CDP's organizing thunder, but that we're trying to have a group to come together to brainstorm, think outside the box. I don't know.
We could each think over the next few days, if we could think of any names to start. I mean, if we can't, that's hard. you
It
know.
would be useful if there was some place we could, if we identified somebody and they had even the tiniest bit of interest. Is there some place we can send them? Because right now it feels pretty vague.
Yeah, they could talk to Andrea at CDP.
Uh-huh.
Mhm. Okay, well, let's brainstorm. Let's see if we can think of any names, if we come up with anything. I mean, I'm so impressed with how Casey Myers writes about housing in the Independent, but I don't see her wanting to step forward to do anything like this. But she's doing a good job supporting housing in the role she has right now. But maybe she would even have some ideas, though.
What about Kathleen Bacon? She's such an advocate. Is she currently on one of the other housing organizations?
She's on the 95 Lawrence Task Force, but
Maybe she would be interested in this.
Every time I talk to her, she says she's moving someplace or other.
in
I can
town,
check.
you mean, or away?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of all the people that came to our community info session about 95. There were a lot of people there. There was a lot of energy in the room. I don't know if somebody like Denya would be interested,
I can text Casey, see if she has any ideas, Elaine, if you'd like.
Okay, that'd be great.
Sure.
Her mother just died, huh?
Yeah, Kate, a wonderful woman.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. I'm so sad about that.
Yeah, just like last week or the week before, I think.
Oh, thank you for telling me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she's wonderful, wonderful woman. Okay, well, so it's going to hang there. If anybody comes up with exciting names and we can approach them, I mean, it would be, great. If not, Wellfleet will not participate.
Elaine, just before, what is that MEI acronym for?
Municipal Engagement Initiative. And then it's LITE, LITE, because they have a big project that I actually applied for us years ago when we were sort of around the senior housing, around the senior center, trying to see if we could get a thing going. But we didn't, no town on the Cape has ever gotten accepted for their big program. So I think that's why they were approaching the Cape to offer this light version of the program.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, the project updates, the buy down, we talked about making the thing, the ADU.
Wait, on the buy down, we had about 30
Oh,
people.
right. That's right. I'm sorry.
That's right. Which is, I think, the largest number we've ever had express an interest in it. Whether we actually get, how many applications we actually get it remains to be seen. But clearly there's a lot of, I think Mia touched on it, a lot of people looking for a solution to what they're going to do for housing. And I think that the biggest issue we may have is that if we get an applicant and if we approve them, 175,000 may not be viable given the current market. But maybe we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, both in terms of how much we have to give or how much time we allow people to search for a home.
It would be interesting to find out under the fair housing guidelines, if we upped the amount would that be fair? If we upped it before the people finished applying, I think that would be fair. But if we got a candidate and they needed more, I'm not sure that would pass the fair housing test. So,
Right, well, and then the question is, if we link it with the down payment assistance,
right,
and how much would we could up that?
right. Yes,
if
that's
we
the
need
way.
to. Yeah, but we'll cross
think
that
that-
bridge, right?
I think that's a good way to think of it, though. Yeah. But I do feel like, I know I just heard from 3 families who have been renting. They're losing their rentals. They're close to being able to think about buying a home. But, there are no other rentals for them to move to right now. I'm so frustrated.
That's the most common thing. Exactly, Elaine. The number of people who have long-term rentals who are losing them in the next 4 months. That's like
Right.
90% of the housing stuff I hear, because people can sell their homes for ridiculous prices right now.
Yeah.
And there's nobody's renting.
Yeah. I really want to, when we talked about when the concept of buying land came up at the planning board last night, I really want to, if we could get a piece of land where we could do the small scale community housing, which is also funded, pretty well funded, but it's for like, up to 15 units. I
That'd
want
be great.
to find a piece of land where we can do that, because
Ye-
the people that are in privately owned rentals have no security. The owner can at any time say, okay, it's been nice having you as a tenant, but now I want to do this with my home. So they're out. We need places for them to go.
So I'm sorry to keep banging this drum, but that I was just so impressed with the Nantucket,
Mhm.
the housing Nantucket. They have a program there, which seems like it could be replicatable, where people who say you have an ADU on your property, you have, that's separate from your house, that under this program, it's called the Covenant Program, you can sell it. You wouldn't be able to otherwise, but you can sell it for at a regulated affordable price, and then it would be affordable in perpetuity. So take a look at that, the Covenant Program, because it's kind of, I was very intrigued. I thought, well, maybe, some of these people who have these little buildings and are tired of the whole rental runaround, they could take advantage of getting, a chunk of money. And it could also be a benefit for people who are looking for starter homes in ownership possibilities.
Okay, so ADU is next on this, and we've sort of talked about how Jerry said he contacted town council and got back some information about Title V that, they're trying to pretty much throw cold water on this whole thing now.
Can you be more specific, Elaine?
It's kind of, and I'm hoping, I think Sharon, he said to get in touch with them. I want to ask for town council's opinion in writing,
Uh-huh.
and then see what Hillary says about it. I wrote down what they were talking about. It involves new construction. So if you were constructing a new ADU on your property, you have to come up to Title V. And I think, and they were saying with all the setbacks and everything, like there's virtually nowhere it can be done, which I think is kind of not a very sound argument.
I'm sorry, I don't really understand what that means.
It means that so basically a lot of the homes that were built since the Title V regulations went into effect in 1995, a lot of the homes that were built were some of them were already, non-conforming, and they were just, and those are grandfathered. right? So if you don't have the appropriate lot size and you're already in existence, you can rebuild that if you need to, if it burns down or something. You can do, there's certain things you can do to it and maintain your variances as far as the septic goes, as far as lot setbacks and a variety of different things. But if you build a new unit, that's considered new construction. And at that point, you have to bring it up, you would have to bring it up to Title V. All your variances would go away, basically. And so what they're saying is that most of the properties in town have all these variances, and that they didn't quite explore it adequately. I'm really afraid it could make our AADU program go away too. That would be like, but in any case, what they're saying is that there are so few properties in town that have, so like if you have 40,000 square feet on your lot and you have a 3-bedroom home, then yeah, you could build a 1-bedroom unit as long as you brought the septic up and everything. But those lots are pretty rare.
So
That's basically
Thank
what
you.
they're saying.
Okay, yeah.
can I feel like the AADU bylaw already addresses Title V in the sense that it says you can only do it if you have the room on your septic system. So you can't just add a bedroom. You need a Title V that is compliant for the number of bedrooms that you are wanting to have, including the new one. And I don't want to get into too much, but that doesn't, I'm confused by one thing that you said, Sharon, which was all of your variances would go away. Because, and I'm just curious what they said about that, because the way Title V functions in transfers, which also relates to permitting and building and stuff like that, is that so long as you have, the first Title V went into effect in 1978, and then it was updated many, many times, the biggest one in 95. But per Wellfleet Board of Health now, you can transfer or permit work, provided your Title V, provided you have a Title V septic system that's functional and passes a state inspection. And those are sized for a certain number of bedrooms. I've never heard of anyone having that system sort of resized or taken away or shrunken because they're doing something different. Is that what they were saying? Because
Well,
that is must be such news to me.
And I have to tell you, it's confusing to me too. And I've listened to it several times and I'm still confused. And I do have a planned conversation with Dave Rowell this afternoon, which is always a little bit of a roller coaster ride. And what, basically what I think maybe the next step is we need to have like a conversation across many different groups.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got a piece of this elephant and they're not seeing, none of us really have the whole picture.
Because people all the time are doing things like also eliminating a bedroom. So suppose you have a half-acre, and then I'll be quiet so we could go on forever. But I mean, suppose you have a half-acre piece of land in Wellfleet and you've got a 4-bedroom house on it, and I want to build a garage with an apartment above it. In my experience, the town would allow me to do that if I eliminated one of the bedrooms in my house. So if I opened up a wall, I made 2 small bedrooms a big bedroom, then I would get a credit. The town wouldn't then turn around to me and say, no, because you're doing this now, you need to have a full acre. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of,
I'm
I'm
just
not a,
yeah.
no, I know. That's why I'm trying to just understand, because I'm not a zoning person. I'm not a Board of Health person. I'm not an expert in any of these things. But I guess I am a supporter of the ADU and sort of think that there are many places where families in particular could benefit from reworking what they already own to allow a young person or an old person, you know what I mean, to be there.
Well, I
And
totally
so-
agree. I totally
Yeah.
agree. So
So I guess I wish I had been at the meeting to hear what they were saying, I guess is the
you can
lesson.
you can listen to the recording. It's recorded.
Oh, yes, okay. I
You know,
will. Thank you.
while you're
Yes,
cooking dinner or
okay.
something. It's
Yes.
not a very exciting meeting otherwise, so, find
Okay.
something to do with yourself while you're listening.
But
mean-
what have all the other towns that have adopted this ADU bylaw done?
Good question.
Well, sometimes
That
they
was what I
bring
was
up
gonna
that
ask.
those towns have water and sewers. Or
That's-
that's-
But sometimes they don't, Elaine.
Right, right. No, exactly. I mean, I think in the end, I thought, why is it so hard to write a decent bylaw that maybe could produce a dozen or a couple of dozen things over time, Why not write a decent bylaw? But
The other thing that's a little bit of potentially low hanging fruit is that we have all these special permitted AADUs that we don't know if they're being rented year round affordably. There's only like, of that whole list, there's only like 10 or 12 that we know about. And there's another 20 that we don't know where they went. So this is why I keep saying, boy, if we had a housing coordinator, if we had somebody who like had boots on the ground, and a little bit of authority behind them, not to go punishing people, but just to research and figure out what the heck is going on. Because that's potentially, 20 units sitting out there.
Well, they said they're going to put it on their next agenda still. They kind of left it. Everybody was going, oh, this is sobering. This is bad news. So they're, they are putting it, they said, on their agenda. I don't know if we can get clarification from town council, but then get Hillary's response. I don't know if there's a way to look at the properties to determine, how many properties could do this, they've spent a lot of time on it.
Well, it would be worth, yeah. And it would be worth actually nailing it down, like having hard figures, like how many properties could potentially do it, and you know what I mean? Like right now, it's just this vague floating, oh, not enough to make it worthwhile, but we don't really know.
Right.
Who was the woman who was the advocate for this program on the Cape?
Stephanie Cox.
Stephanie Cox, I had a long conversation with her yesterday.
Oh, what did she say?
She's very frustrated with us. She was just offering her support and assistance. And she also had, now I don't remember his name. There was a guy who just came on, hold on here. He sent me an email. Where is he from? Darn it. I don't know. I'd have to, it's on my other phone, and I can't look at it now, but she sent me the name of a guy who is doing a lot of this work, and I can send it to you. And he did attend the meeting and, was kind of horrified. And, so it's worth, I just feel like, who's right here?
Right, exactly.
Is the planning board correct in their understanding? In which case we have to totally shift our paradigm. But if not, then, we need to forge ahead.
No one has gotten an official opinion from town council yet, or they have and we haven't seen it?
They haven't, we haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think it was a conversation, but I don't know.
I think that starting with written opinion from town council after posing a very clear question to town council is where we have to start.
We have to be careful that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot and affect what we have in the name of building something new. So
Yeah.
Well, an opinion is
before
just
you
an
send that,
opinion.
think that, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I interrupt.
No, I'm just saying, what I don't want to do is disrupt the AADU program that we have in the name of trying to do the ADU and end up doing.
Neither.
Yeah, of course. I'm just thinking if we get an opinion, it's just an opinion. It's not a new rule. And if we don't think that it's going to, no, it is a new rule. Okay.
If we get an opinion and it says we can't, then I think, That's a problem.
I wish.
On the
that-
other hand, is our AADU program really helping that many people right now? And if we can never expand it and never improve it,
Well,
is it doing us a lot of good?
a dozen affordable rentals in the current market is.
They are they
number
active? I
one.
thought I
Yeah.
thought Sharon was saying they,
No,
okay, so
they're-
never mind, I take it back. I thought she was saying they weren't active.
No, there's another 20 that we don't know about.
Oh,
They're
okay.
active or not. I mean, it could be
Alright.
people that are renting, but just not taking the tax abatement. They might be
Gotcha.
renting around,
Okay.
but they might have also switched to seasonal or not renting at all.
Gotcha.
Sharon, I wish Harry were here. He's much more knowledgeable about this.
Yes.
But we could either, seek his opinion, or we could bring it up at the trust meeting.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we can ask to put it on a trust agenda. I mean, I'm wondering, the Cape Cod Commission is very supportive of ADUs. I don't know if anybody in their health department could help advise. I mean, the whole new housing choice bill that Governor Baker signed is totally supportive of ADUs. But the planning board's real thing they always throw in is because we do not have the infrastructure,
But the Board of Health regulates Title V. I mean, they're the ones that are going to be overseeing sort of bedroom counts and whether something actually meets Title V code. So it's interesting that this is going that way. You know what I mean? It just seems
Elaine,
there's a body
Okay.
of votes.
So
Elaine,
this guy, the guy that I was talking about, his name is Scott LaJoy, and he is with HAC, I think. He's from the Realtors Association and HAC. And he's Government Affairs Director, Housing Assistance Corporation, and Cape Cod Islands Association of Realtors. So, I could call him back. He invited me to,
yeah.
and I could ask him some of these questions.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Mhm.
Elaine,
Yes. Richard.
I think we ought to spend some money. I don't know, we have to spend some money, but if we did, we should. And that is, one, instead of getting somebody else's conversation with the town council or somebody else's interpretation of what town council said, I think we ought to get our own interpretation from town council as the housing authority. Now, maybe because we're a state thing, we can't use town council, and if we can't, then we should get some kind of legal opinion that's our own. It's just like when you ask the Department of Public Works whether or not any of their land is available, and you get an opinion from the Department of Public Works as to how this, that, or the other thing is, laid out. I think we have to get our own, spend some money to get our own opinions that are based, in the expertise of somebody who knows about these things. Because if we wait for other agencies, other entities to come in line with our desires, I think we'll be a long time waiting.
I agree.
I mean, the trust now as a municipal entity could ask for a town council.
Sure.
I wonder if we could ask Harry to watch that portion of the planning board meeting and, give it a thought before our Monday's meeting.
Knowing Harry, he might just do that without even being asked, but I'll suggest it.
But he may not know that this was a big topic and feels like a setback and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think let's move on.
Before we do, I'd just like all of you to look on the agenda and say ADU and AADU and let you know in advance. I have absolutely no idea in the world what will appear in the minutes as a result of this.
A discussion, period.
A lively discussion.
Doesn't even need any adjective, just a discussion.
Yeah, okay.
Continuing discussion.
Thank you, Gary. You took me off the hook, kid. Thank you.
Continuing discussion, Richard.
Ongoing.
Ongoing.
Yeah.
Never ending.
Never ending. Geez.
Briefly,
Guys, I just sent everyone a chat, but I don't know if those actually come through. Did you see
Yes,
them?
I just
I saw.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay, bye, sorry.
Sarah.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Sarah. Take
Thank you
care.
so
Bye,
much.
Sarah.
Bye-bye. Briefly, 95 Lawrence Road, we're honing in on getting the RFP ready to go out. We're hoping to do that by mid-March now, I think. I don't want to say too much else about that right now. Freeman Ave. Ongoing.
Continuing discussion.
Continuing discussion.
All right.
Yeah, Richard, I didn't put this on, but Richard, you're gonna attend the Home Consortium meeting as a guest on?
Next, I haven't heard, yes.
Thank you, thank you. You'll be meeting with lots of other representatives that have ADUs in their town.
Well, this will be my first meeting. I will keep a low profile and just listen.
Okay. All right, well, people think about any gung-ho people that might want to take up the Chapa initiative. And you're all always welcome to attend the trust meetings too now. We'll be meeting on Monday at 5 or 5:30, I think, so that
I have it, it's 5:30, Elaine.
5:30. That's so Michael DeVasto can make the tides and do his work. And I thank you all.
Next meeting,
Next meeting, grab my
March
calendar.
4th. March 4th, Elaine.
Oh, that's my birthday.
Oh,
Woo!
Yay,
Do
we
you
can't
Do you
think of
wanna
anybody
spend it?
I'd rather
you
be
want to
with.
make it a different day?
Yeah, do you want to spend it with us?
No, outside the family, you're my next best buddies.
It's also Star Wars Day, so you get 2 holidays for the price of one.
It's what day?
Star Wars, March 4th.
Oh, yeah.
It's Star Wars
Igre-
Day.
Ig-
Sky Wars?
Why is it March 4th, Mia?
Star Wars,
No.
Wars, the movies, March 4th,
But
because you
why
march
is it
4th,
March 4th?
because they're marching. The Empire
it's
is
at
marching
10?
4th.
Yeah, it's a command, March 4th.
March 4th. Yeah.
March 4th. I have a friend each year that sends it to me in Latin, Igredior. Okay, no, we can do that. It'll be fine. Maybe good things will happen.
We can have virtual cake.
Okay. Okay, next meeting is March 4th at 10 a.m. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Where Deborah this meeting, did anyone listen to the vaccine thing last night?
We
I did.
I'm sorry?
I did. It felt like to me like a bunch of politicians banging their drums.
It was mostly useless, but the one part that I heard that I didn't know before was that they're vaccinating non-residents or just,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to me if we get vaccine based upon our population.
Yeah, I've been wondering about that for a long time. But
Yeah, because we have such a high non-resident portion.
many of whom are older and are in the category.
And not only
where they
that,
get it
but
first.
we have friends who have already gone back to New York and other places who they can get the vaccine now that we can't get.
Mhm.
Add it to the list of injustices.
Yeah, I guess so. It just seems strange to me, but I wondered if other people heard the same thing.
Well, we do want them vaccinated because you never know when you're going to run into them in Stop and Shop.
I appreciate that, but I don't necessarily want them vaccinated ahead of me.
Right.
I'd like to see my grandchildren. I don't know about others, but.
I have to take off. Goodbye, everybody.
We're all done.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
All right,
Bye-bye.
that was it. Thank you, Elaine.